The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
.907 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Good morning. Ken Weaver in the newsroom. Mason producing. You guys on the Members Nutrition text line and phone lines at 615-737-9986. You can take us with you wherever you go with the iHeartRadio app and the TuneIn app. You can watch us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, on Super Talk TV, and you can follow me personally at Chris Hand on Air, Twitter, Truth Social, Instagram. Did I get everything? Oh, podcasts. You miss a little, you miss a lot.
Yeah, it's the one. It's the big one.
It's the big one.
It's the one that points out a little bit.
So if you've missed any of the interviews that we've done over the past couple weeks, we've had some great people on, from Savannah Hernandez to Reverend John Amachukwu to Tim Burchett to Bernadette Pager. The list goes on and on and on. You can find all the interviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts. Search for the Chris Hand Show and give me 5 stars and subscribe.
Rate me 5 stars.
Give me 5 stars. 5-star kind of show. Sometimes. Occasionally.
It was recently with all those guests, we've been
cranking them out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Hitting them high.
Yeah. We've been trying to do things. Last night, the protests at NYU got cleared out. Over 150 protesters arrested. It was amazing because also yesterday, there was an Earth Day event. Find out the name of the guy that started Earth Day. I saw a quote. He actually, the guy that founded Earth Day warned against limitless immigration because he said it would destroy America's wildlife and natural beauty. So anyway, of course, Joe Biden and AOC decided to do an Earth Day event yesterday. And AOC, she jumped in and she was just so excited to be there with everybody. Give me a little audio. She's so excited to be there with all of her friends.
Happy Earth Day, everyone. I'm so excited to be here today with Senator Sanders, Senator Markey, and President Biden.
She's so excited. And then she touts the power of young people, and she shouts out all the protests that got busted up last night.
It is especially important that we remember the power of young people shaping this country today, of all days, as we once again witness the leadership of those peaceful student-led protests on campuses like Columbia, Yale, Berkeley, and many others.
The peaceful protests, she says. That's interesting. It didn't look very peaceful last night. Mostly peaceful. Over 150 students and faculty were arrested at the anti-Israel protest at NYU last night. They were demanding that NYU divest from Israel and shut down the school's Tel Aviv campus. Protesters lit flares. They walked to police headquarters. They marched through the streets. They chanted slogans. And around 4 a.m., many of those protesters were being released in groups of 5. They called their camp one of Gaza solidarity. And a university spokesperson said that there have been multiple incidents of anti-Semitism reported, though details were not provided per NYU's Washington Square News. NYU requested the presence of NYPD. They arrived at 8:30 p.m., and by 9 p.m., they cleared the Gaza camp. Isn't it amazing how fast and quick and efficient the police can be when you allow them to do their job? If only they had been allowed to do this job during other protests. If only. Maybe we could have saved a lot of buildings and damage that was incurred. The protesters outside this Gaza plaza were entering the encampment. Many, they say, appeared to be praying. Washington Square News reported during the protest, students waved Palestinian flags and raised signs to honor the martyrs of Palestine. Some students raised signs praising Students for Justice Palestine, a nonprofit with shady funding sources that has been spurring on protests across the U.S. The crowd was raucous, and NYPD, they showed up in full riot gear. Full riot gear. They cleared out the encampment. They cuffed faculty and students with zip ties, and then they put them on the buses and sent them off for processing. The New York Post reports. Members of the faculty linked arms and stood as a barrier between cops and students. Oh, how brave, how touching. As such, they were the first to be arrested. As they were walked to waiting buses, they were chanting "Free, Free Palestine." They had footage that had been captured there were so many reporters there. There was so much footage captured. I'm sure you saw a lot of this on social media last night.
Trespassing in front of my own house, in front of my own office.
Everybody's upset. Cops gave the encampment and the protesters fair warning before the arrest began. They said over a megaphone that they would be arrested if they did not disperse. And they kept the promise. Good on them. Video showed officers chasing protesters through the streets, ripping down tents, doing what needed to be done. University security also wanted them gone after the barriers set up to kettle the protesters in one space continued to be pushed out to accommodate more people. This is what they do at a lot of universities whenever they have protesters show up. I saw it at Eastern Tennessee University when Kyle Rittenhouse showed up, and there were protesters there. They make a nice little barricade encampment for them. You can protest right here. So the protesters kept trying to stretch that and make it larger and larger to accommodate the people that were showing up. It made the university security guards very upset because they're like, guys, we put these here for a reason. You can't just move the barricade. So they wanted them gone. And the space was filled up with non-students as well as anti-Israel activists not affiliated with NYU. It quickly became something much bigger than NYU. And so they said with the breach of the barricades earlier this afternoon, the requirement was violated. We witnessed disorderly, disruptive, and antagonizing behavior that has interfered with safety and security of our community. That was the head of the campus safety fountain, Walker, told the crowd. He said, if you leave now, no one will face any consequences for today's action. No discipline, no police. And they said that the camp had to disperse by 4 p.m. They gave these people so much warning at NYU, and they decided to not leave. NYU spokesperson John Beckman, he doesn't exactly blame the students per se, although they kind of started this whole thing. He blamed the off-campus actors for dramatically changing the situation. He said it was the protesters it was those protesters, he said, who did not respect the barriers erected around the Gaza camp. Again, something that we've seen many, many times. People in a community are upset and they're protesting, but then additional actors come in and they co-opt a protest and they turn it into something that it wasn't designed to be. Protesters who had evaded arrest marched downtown to the police plaza where their friends were facing charges, and they were chanting the whole "River to the Sea, Palestine will be free," which, of course, everybody kind of knows what that means at this point. We don't need to go into it. I think, actually, I'll say this. Everybody knows what that means at this point, except for a lot of the protesters that chanted, right? Because they don't have any idea what they're chanting. They just stick with the group. But that's what they were chanting. From the river to the sea. Protesters chanted Gaza as they marched to NYPD headquarters, And there's just so much footage. Chaos. The NYU Gaza camp is one of many set up at universities across the U.S. where students and professors are advocating for Hamas. So, I don't know. AOC really likes them.
The leadership of those peaceful student-led protests on campuses like Columbia, Yale, Berkeley, and many others.
Yeah, it's mostly peaceful. Mostly peaceful. And then Joe Biden, he gets up there and he basically says, there's good people on both sides. This is what he says. He says there's good people on both sides. It's amazing how he can get away with that. Yet Trump, when he was talking about Charlottesville, said, listen, I denounce the white supremacists, but there are good people on both sides. The media strung Trump up for that. But when Joe Biden says it, it's like, don't worry about it. We don't even have to cover it, actually. It is the funniest part about it. The media won't touch it with a 10-foot pole because it's Joe. And they cover for him incessantly. But it doesn't change the fact that that's what he said. That's what he said. The exact same thing that Trump said. But Joe Biden doesn't get blasted for it. Joe Biden doesn't get dragged for it. They won't even cover it. But the fact remains, that's what he said.
And the anti-Semitic protests on college campuses.
I condemn the anti-Semitic protests. That's why I've set up a program to deal with that. I also condemn those who don't understand what's going on with the Palestinians.
Very fine people on both sides. Joe Biden, 2024. Biden was asked about the anti-Semitic protests on college campuses. He smiles back and he says, I condemn the anti-Semitic protests. That's why I've set up a program to deal with that. And he goes on to say, I've also condemned those who don't understand what's going on with the Palestinians. It's very fine people on both sides. It's just the media bias in how this will be covered or not covered at all is the most jarring. Because if Trump had said something like that, it would have been on every news station, every headline. But, we can say that honestly about anything these past couple weeks. If Trump had said his uncle had been eaten by cannibals, that would have been leading on the news on just about every single channel. Every single one. But they won't. They won't cover that. In fact, I doubt you're going to hear a lot of clips from Joe Biden's Earth Day speech because it was weird. He started out just kissing AOC's rear end.
And Representative Ocasio-Cortez in New York, I learned a long time ago, listen to that lady. Listen to that lady. We're going to talk more about another part of the world, too, real quickly.
If the Biden administration can get any worse, it would be the number one thing I would suggest would be listening to AOC. That would be the quickest way to make things far, far worse. But he keeps going on, and he wants everybody to know at this Earth Day event, he's seen firsthand the devastating toll of climate.
As president, I've seen the devastating toll of climate firsthand. Since I've been president, I've flown over all the major fires and the thousands upon thousands of acres that have burned flat by wildfires. More acres than the entire state of Maryland combined. Oh,
it's so devastating. It's so devastating. Our government just sent $60 billion to Ukraine while people that have dealt with wildfires in Maui and Lahaina are now living in tents because they cut off the funding for the government housing that they had put in place for them. Isn't that nice? It's the devastating toll of climate. There's more. He also said he was talking about solar power because it's an Earth Day event.
And folks, Solar for All will give us more breathing room and cleaner breathing room.
More breathing room and cleaner breathing room if you do Solar for All. But the most, I wonder how much this pays. Did you know you can actually get paid to to enlist and fight in climate change?
We're recruiting for over 2,000 positions in 36 states to start with, in Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, with many on the way. Just go to Climate Corps, as mentioned already, climatecorps.gov to apply. You'll get paid to fight climate change.
Oh, and he won't get roasted for that one. Trump makes the Space Force, and he gets roasted, right? We get the Climate Corps. We're gonna pay people to fight climate change. Not a peep. Not a peep. Which way, Western man? Space Force or Climate Corps? It's 9:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand, and I got to tell you about my friends at membersnutrition.com. Your health is your responsibility, but if you haven't taken it serious for a while, you may need to jumpstart that health journey. You can do that at membersnutrition.com with the Youthful Cleanse by Daily Defense. You've heard a lot of us talking about the Youthful Cleanse by Daily Defense. Let's be honest, the food that we eat is processed. It's junk. The air we're breathing is toxic. The stress in our life is also building up toxins in our body. And as that builds up over time, you're feeling weighted down, you're feeling sluggish, you're feeling tired. What can you do to kind of flush all of that out? Well, you take the Youthful Cleanse by Daily Defense, and that's going to get you back up to speed very, very quickly. You'll be feeling great. You'll be flushing all of those toxins out. You'll be giving yourself that optimal gut health and liver health. It's so, so important and so underrated. And then from there, at membersnutrition.com, you continue your health journey with whatever you're in the market for. Immunity supplements, weight loss, detox like the cleanse, men's health, women's health, relaxation supplements. I know Dan Mandis always talks about the relaxation supplements he gets from membersnutrition.com. They have it all. And they make them here in America. It's a shocker. I know. How often do you hear that? These vitamins and supplements are made right here in the USA. You cannot say that about the vitamins and supplements you're buying off the shelves at the big box store. Full disclosure, they're probably made in China if you're buying them off the big box store shelves. But at membersnutrition.com, they're made here in the USA, and they have it all. And they are so proud of their supplements, they're giving them to you at the lowest available prices they can. Plus, if you become a member at membersnutrition.com, you get even more discounted prices. No codes needed. The discounts are automatically applied. Go now. Start your health journey at membersnutrition.com. That's membersnutrition.com.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
All right, we got a traffic problem. 24 westbound, right there at the 440 exit 53, a jackknifed tanker. The left two lanes are blocked. And in New York City, prosecutors in the hush money case claim the gag order's been violated. That's coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Are they really going to send him to jail for 30 days for violating the gag order?
I don't doubt they'll try.
I wish they would. I really do. I really, really do. Imagine if...
You can't buy that kind of campaign gold.
Imagine if he's posting just pictures of jailhouse letters on Truth Social.
Yeah.
Like they get Dan Scavino. It's like a kite from prison.
Yeah.
And he posted on Truth Social for him. That's what I want to be here for. And I'm also here for the Members Nutrition Super Text line. You guys are the best. We were talking about the protest. 7423 texted and said, whatever happened to the old water cannons? Worked effectively in the 60s. So I replied, make water cannons great again. And then a couple people pointing out with Joe Biden saying this. Oh, hold on, it's loading. He called protesters on both sides very fine people. He said he condemned the anti-Semitic protests, but that's why he set up a program to deal with that. He also condemns those who don't understand what's going on with the Palestinians. I said, this is a lot like Trump with the very fine people, but the media strung him up for it. And several people on the Members Nutrition text line said the biggest difference between Trump's very fine people and Biden's very fine people is that Trump wasn't funding both sides. Oof. This is why I love the Members Nutrition text line. You guys are so good, so tuned in. That one, I wouldn't have even thought of it. But you're absolutely right. The difference is that Biden funds both sides. Isn't that amazing? Nobody's surprised, right?
Tests on college campuses.
I condemn the anti-Semitic protests. That's why I've set up a program to deal with that. I also condemn those who don't understand what's going on with the Palestinians.
It's 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Prosecutors in the New York hush money case against former President Trump say they've identified 10 social media posts by Trump. They say were disparaging of witnesses like Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels, and that, they say, violated the judge's gag order. They want Trump fined $1,000 for each offending post. President Biden, meanwhile, will be campaigning in Florida today. He's going to be talking about abortion access. And then here in Tennessee, a bill allowing parents to be fined if their kids commit a crime is headed to Governor Lee for his consideration. Judges would be able to impose fines up to $1,000 for a second criminal offense by their kid. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN 931. My name is Chris, and I want to tell you about my friends at the Glock Store. The big open house is happening June 1st. We're very excited to get down there. And if you haven't been to the Glock Store, you're probably going to feel the way I felt. When people rave about the Glock Store, you kind of think, yeah, it's a gun store. They got ranges. But how different can it be? I was there. I was there with you just a couple weeks ago. I would hear Dan and Matt just sing the praises of the Glock Store, and I just thought, okay, how different can it be? I went and checked it out, and I got to tell you, Dan and Matt are right. I was wrong, and if you think that the Glock Store is just another gun store and range, you are wrong as well. The Glock Store is, in a word, amazing. I mean, this place is massive, huge, stocked to the brim with anything you might need, and staffed with the friendliest people you're going to meet, and they're so knowledgeable about a variety of topics, especially home and self-defense. I mean, that's what they specialize in at the Glock Store. That and custom Glocks. Beautiful, stunning, gorgeous custom Glocks that you have to see to believe. I couldn't even believe it. I was amazed. Every time we turned a corner on that tour of the Glock Store, I was shocked. They make all of their performance parts right here in Nashville. All of them. Pyramid triggers, extended controls, tungsten guide rods, and then they install them for you for free while you wait. But my biggest surprise of all came from the Shoot 270 indoor ranges and what they had to offer, or I guess what they didn't have to offer is a better description because just very simply, they don't have lanes. It was a new concept for me too. but it's so cool. They have private shooting rooms with personal instructors. I cannot wait to have my first session. We're getting it on the books here soon. My wife is going to come with me and train at the Glock Store. We're going to do it together. Very, very excited about that. She can't wait either. And if you need to up your game, if you need to up your training, there's only one place to do it. It's the Glock Store, online at theglockstore.com. Minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
9:38 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button. I'll follow back. I'm going through the members nutrition text line. A couple texts jump out to me. The first is 7655. It says, hi, Chris. Hi. Shouldn't these protesters be prosecuted for hate crimes? I don't know. I guess it would be like case by case. I think hate crimes are, I think it's a dumb classification. It's like you don't commit crimes against people you like, right? So I just think hate crimes in general are silly.
So technically, most crimes are hate crimes. If that's the
I feel like it's the bar.
Yeah, it's the standard. Is you're doing something out of spite or out of hate.
I don't assault people out of love.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I've never assaulted a police officer and thought to myself, I'm doing this because I love you. You know what I mean? People are different.
I care for you.
I care for you. Well, it couldn't have been a hate crime. He kept repeatedly saying he loved me so much. So it couldn't have been. Then I got another text from 1440. 1440 is upset with Ken Weaver. I know. Said, Chris, wait a minute. He can't breeze over that bill about fining parents for their kids. I need details. Did he breeze over it? I don't think Ken breezed over it. Ken, did you breeze? Did you breeze over the bill about fining parents for their kids? That's what you've been accused of on the members nutrition text line.
Did I do what?
Did you breeze over the bill about fining parents for their kids?
I don't know what breeze over the bill means.
I didn't take you as a breeze over kind of guy.
Yeah.
So the bill is heading to the governor's desk, correct?
Yes.
And then a judge would be able to fine kids fine a parent or guardian up to $1,000 if their child commits a crime.
Yeah, at the second offense.
The second time. And parents could also pay a law enforcement agency at least $250 for responding to the incident.
I did not see that.
This is from Action News 5.
Action News 5.
Out of Memphis. They said that parents would also pay a law enforcement agency at least $250 for responding to the incident, and a judge can also choose to order the parents to community service instead. So it sounds like it's a lot of leeway in the judge's hands.
I guess so.
Well, I didn't think you breezed over it.
I don't know, dude.
So at the end of the day, it's going to be up to a judge to make the final decision on whether or not to fine parents or not.
Yeah.
I think that's good. I think a lot of these families and these parents just aren't paying attention to what's going on.
And especially if you just look at every situation as a blanket statement and go, yep, here's your fine, here's your community service, then I think anything's going to get fully resolved in the way that they want to.
No, I don't know. I'm with it. Growing up with young kids, it's like I can tell parents that aren't engaged. You see it at the playground all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, you can spot them from a mile away. So if this kind of puts a boot in the rear end of parents that need to pay more attention, I'm for it. And I also get the argument, well, what if you can't afford it? Now you're in debt to the government, to the state. You can't afford it. Well, it says here that the judge can make it be community service. I just hope it will be tandem community service.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Adults and kids. The kids need to have a punishment of some sort as well. It can't just be all on mom and dad. So I hope that they do up that and make sure that the kids are doing community service. But that was that. I think that's a good thing. We're covering the NYPD crashing the NYU protests, and we also have Donald Trump in court this morning. It's a wild news day, to say the least. But, I mean, we could say that about any day that's happened in recent memory. It's always a crazy day. Trump was talking just moments ago about the court and the protests and everything happening around this trial.
That's interesting outside for great Americans, people that want to come down and they want to protest at the court and they want to protest peacefully. We have more police presence here than anyone's ever seen. For blocks, you can't get near this courthouse. And yet you have nobody up at a college where you have very radical people wanting to rip the colleges down, the universities down. And that's a shame.
Talking about the difference between police presence for the protesters at the courthouse versus the protesters at NYU. It is definitely different. Calvin in Lebanon, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Calvin?
Hey, Chris, I just wanted to share this story with you. Yesterday, you said right before I pulled up to a place before that I do a lot of business with in my business, have for years. And you mentioned the gas in Silicon Valley at 729.
Yes, sir.
Well, I had that on my mind, and there's two 30-year-old guys that work in this store. One's the manager, and there's an 86-year-old man that works there because he refuses to retire. He loves working in the paint. He's been in it for over 50 years. And I went in, and the young guy said, "Is this all you got over there?" He started ringing me up. I said, "Hey, it could be worse. We could be in Silicon Valley paying $7.29 for gas." Didn't get no response. And the other 30-year-old and the 86-year-old guy was back there, and I'm the only one in the store. And I said, that's Bidenomics working its way this way, don't you? I said, everything comes out of California comes this way, okay? Didn't get no response, and we're always talking about Trump, Biden.
Yeah.
Well, the older guy decided to help me out with my order. And I said, "It's all right, Jack, I got it." He said, "No." He said, "Let me walk out with you." He said, "We lost them two in there." I said, "What do you mean we lost them?" He said, "They're now going to vote for Biden." I said, "What?
How does that happen?"
He said one of their friends pulled up a story where Trump grabbed Obama in the crotch. And they said, "How can you vote for someone that would grab someone in the crotch?" So they've decided that their friends are more important than how they feel with their friends. And Jack said for the last 2 weeks, he said, "I've tried," and they look up to Jack. They've looked up to Jack all this time. And he said, I said, "What about the country? What about the country?" They don't care about the country. They care about the person and their friends. And he said, "We lost them two in there." And he said, "See, this next generation, Cal," he said, "You remember, I'm 86, and see, I'm 56. They're about 30 years old." He said, "They don't care about the country. They care about their feelings and how they look in front of their friends."
Well, but it's crazy because I've never heard this story that Trump grabbed Obama in the crotch, and I'm pretty hip to all the hoaxes. And then I did a quick Google search while I'm on the phone with you. Nothing pops up. I don't know where they saw this story, but to be swayed by such a sensationalized headline, I don't know if they were ever on our side in the first place.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. And I have to go in here and pretend I don't know what's up so I don't get this guy in trouble anymore. And it sickens me. We lost two. We lost, but I'm like you. I don't know if they was ever with us to begin with.
If something like that's so flimsy and can be debunked with so easily with a quick Google search is what's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back for you, I don't think we ever had you to begin with.
Right. Well, I just wanted to mention that's how quick you lose young voters.
Yeah. I hear you, but they'll come back just as quickly when they start paying those gas prices.
Well, see, they complain about everything. That's what Jack said. And they complain about everything. I tell you, if that dang Biden gets back in, I will let the cat out of the bag, at least on this. I don't want to hear you complain, you two. I don't want. I'm going to say, whoever voted for that guy, I don't want to hear you complain.
I want to go. Can I go with you when we have this conversation, Calvin?
I may need some backup. These boys could hand me my butt real quick.
Perfect. I'm in. You let me know when.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate you, Calvin. Yeah, the gas. I mean, yes. So yesterday we had the story that the gas prices are $7.29 in right outside of Silicon Valley in California, which is higher than the federal minimum wage. But gas is going up all over the country. We're seeing it here in Middle Tennessee. Not as bad. We are, let's be real, we're very blessed in Middle Tennessee as far as gas prices go. I mean, I'll even drive to Virginia or North Carolina for vacation or to visit family, my wife's family, and we'll notice it as soon as we cross those state lines, how much more expensive gas is. If you're driving, especially, you know, all the truckers that listen, you can probably tell me better than I can tell you how different it is state to state. But, I mean, we're seeing it go up all over the country. This is Joe Biden's economy. It's everywhere from Western New York.
Gas prices are on the rise in Western New York this morning. AAA reports a pretty big jump at the pump. The average price of a gallon of gas in the Buffalo-Niagara Falls region today is $3.56.
So it's up in Western New York. It's also up in Seattle.
According to Gas Buddy, gas prices in Seattle are up 4 cents per gallon from last week for $4, and it's an average of $4.79 a gallon. Prices in Seattle are 23 cents per gallon higher than a month ago, 11 cents higher than a year ago. In Tacoma, gas is down 5 cents for an average of $4.61 a gallon.
$4.61 a gallon. $4.79 in Seattle. $7.29 in California. We do have it really good here in Tennessee. But, you know, let's not count our chickens before they hatch. These prices are going to continue to go up as the summer comes in. And then it's going to ripple out through the economy. These high gas prices will result in higher prices everywhere else, as it always happens that way. I do feel for the people in California. There's another story, Yolo County in California, 1 in 3 households struggling for food. And it's a sad story. And I know that there are people probably in Middle Tennessee who feel this as well. People all over the country that feel this as well. I highlight this one because, you know, gas being $7 in certain parts of California. Could you imagine trying to live under that? 1 in 3 families struggling for food in Yolo County.
A new survey finds nearly 1 in 3 households in Yolo County struggles to even access food.
Many other food banks in our region are struggling now due to a downturn in donations and, of course, higher food costs. So the report reveals certain populations like rural areas and Black and Latino households are hit the hardest. The report also finds nearly 53% of households in Yolo County work in the agricultural industry and are still food insecure.
And the report doesn't talk about how much money they're giving to the illegal aliens and how much free food they're giving to that community in California.
Experts say the root cause of food insecurity is related to poverty. The U.S. Census Bureau says California has the highest poverty rate in the U.S.
And what's the poverty linked to? The lack of wage increases, the inflation, the economy. In California, is the poverty linked to Democrats? I think so. It's 9:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
I'm going to give it away. We're going to do TikTok today. Oh, TikTok or talk? Talk. Okay. T-A-L-K. Spring is here. Today we're going to talk about ticks. Bugs are coming out. Unfortunately, ticks are coming out. People are going to be out in the woods. First, the types of ticks.
American dog tick, the black-legged deer tick, the Lone Star tick. We've got a Gulf Coast tick. Got a new one coming in, the longhorn tick. These are the ones we need to watch out for. 75% of vector transmitted diseases now are from ticks. Rocky Mountain spotted fever, rickelosis, tularemia, Lyme disease, almost flu-like. You're going to run a fever. You may or may not get a rash in the saliva. They secrete the cement to glue themselves in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great.
So you need to get some tweezers, get down on that capitulum and grab it and pull the tick off. Do not grab the body. A lot of people think ticks drop out of trees. They don't drop out of trees. And they can't jump.
and they can't fly.
So they're in the leaves, on the plants and things.
On the grass,
on the
leaves of the grass. And they do this number with their front legs. And that's called questing. They are sensing a prey item coming by. They'll take those legs and latch on and then crawl up.
And then there you go. You're battling it.
A steel beam blamed for a traffic death on I-65. This and more coming up at 10 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is 9:57 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Apparently, the gag order hearing is over. Waiting to see what happens. Will Trump go to jail for 30 days? Probably not. It'd be cool if he did. I think that would be pretty fun. Right? What are you in for? I posted some truth. All right. That's pretty cool. So we'll keep our eyes on that and what comes out of it. But it is fascinating to say the least. The trial continues for Donald Trump. We'll have updates for that on that for you all day. Trump did say it would be a great honor to become a modern-day Nelson Mandela in the clink for speaking truth about Judge Merchant. He said that back earlier in April. So we'll see what happens. I hope Trump keeps violating the gag order. The gag order prevents Trump from making comments about witnesses participating in the trial, counsel other than the district attorney Alvin Bragg, members of the court staff, and the district attorney staff, or the family members of any counsel or staff member, if those statements are made with intent to materially interfere with counsel's or staff's work. It also encompasses prospective jurors or the jurors currently. So we'll see what happens as that develops today. I'm sure we're going to get news out of the courtroom here soon on what happened with the gag order hearing, and we'll have it for you as soon as we have it. Trump, though, in trial today. It's the trial of the century. It's the trial of the century. We have more updates on that. Plus, on the way, I want to talk about, so often I'm reminded of what my dad said when I was a kid, that when you're when you see what's happening in Europe, you're only a few years away from that happening in America. My dad often meant bad news, but I have a story where it could mean good news. It could. And I have comments from the Prime Minister of England, Rishi Sunak. We'll play those comments and talk about the story on the way. It's 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Ten o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Again, we got that traffic problem. This is going to be in Franklin, 65 northbound at Paytonsville Road, a Goose Creek bypass, some construction work. And then it looks like 24 eastbound at Murfreesboro Pike. You've got the through lanes blocked by that crash. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Right now in Alabama, authorities say a 51-year-old driver was killed by a metal beam that went through his windshield. This happened on Interstate 65 in Jefferson County. They think the beam fell off of another vehicle. The driver's identified as 51-year-old Jason Fields of Gardendale. He was driving on 65 South in Warrior when it happened right before 11 o'clock local time this morning. Prosecutors in the New York hush money case seeking a $10,000 fine against former President Trump, claiming they've identified 10 social media posts by Trump disparaging witnesses like Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels. They say it violates that gag order. But legal analyst Kim Whaley says the court has to walk a fine line.
We are in the midst of an election year, so I think the court has to be careful about chilling his speech, making him unable to actually have a voice in the public square. At the same time, the sanctity and the legitimacy of the whole process and the safety, frankly, of the people involved are absolutely paramount as well.
Well, on that note, Mary Bruce says President Biden's campaigning in Florida today. He's going to be talking about abortion access.
So far, Vice President Kamala Harris has really been the one leading the charge on this issue for the campaign. The president is a staunch defender of abortion access, but as a Catholic, he's also had a complicated evolution on the issue. But the Biden campaign knows this issue is going to be critical and pivotal to this election, and they are eager to put it front and center.
Right now, Reuters reporting Trump has a slight edge in most swing state polls and various polls. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
10:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You know, growing up, my dad would always tell me, when you see what's happening in Europe, just know that's 10 years away from happening over here, if not sooner. And then my dad would always, tell me about that when it would come to bad stuff, right? But I think maybe the same can be said about good things, right? Maybe. Hopefully. Fingers crossed when it comes to this next story. The British government, they are now booking charter planes to send unwanted migrants, illegal aliens, asylum seekers, newcomers, if you will, to Africa. Yeah, they have planes, and they're sending them to Rwanda. They have an airfield on standby, it says, but they acknowledge that the first flights are still a few months away, and that's best case scenario. Brexit leader Nigel Farage is casting doubt on whether a single migrant will be removed at all, but this is what they're saying in England, including from their Prime Minister Rishi Sunak.
No ifs, no buts. These flights are going to Rwanda. And most importantly, once the processing is complete, we will physically remove people.
They're going to be physically removing people from England. Asylum seekers, newcomers, migrants, illegal aliens. This is the delayed and delayed again Rwanda bill. It's meant to deter illegal migration by sending those who arrive in the United Kingdom improperly to Africa. It returned to Parliament yesterday. They're pushing this thing through. It was first shut down by Boris Johnson's Conservative government a couple years ago. It's limped from block and tackle by its left-wing pro-open border opponents ever since, including being struck down by the upper house earlier this month. But when you listen to the Prime Minister, he says this is happening.
And to do that, I can confirm that we've put an airfield on standby, booked commercial charter planes for specific slots, and we have 500 highly trained individuals ready to escort illegal migrants all the way to Rwanda, with 300 more trained in the coming weeks.
Is this a mass deportation effort? Is this what we need in America? I seem to think so. They say the constant back and forth of this bill between the two chambers this year has been described as parliamentary ping pong. But the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, has now vowed that it's over, and that the bill creating a legal environment permitting the government to deport large numbers of migrants to its partner nation, Rwanda, will be made this week. And Sunak said on Friday that Parliament will sit there and vote until it's done. And restrictions on how long the House can sit have been suspended, meaning Parliament is likely to work long hours into the night and into the morning. They were speaking in advance of the vote. And Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, he sounds like he means business.
This is one of the most complex operational endeavours the Home Office has carried out. But we are ready. Plans are in place. And these flights will go come what may. No foreign court will stop us from getting flights off. Rwanda is ready too. And I'd like to thank the government of Rwanda for their work in strengthening their asylum system, passing legislation, and setting up a new appeals tribunal.
So hopefully this goes through. Again, there are conservatives in England like Nigel Farage who just doesn't believe that this is going to happen at all.
Just as David Cameron talked tough. If you come here illegally, you won't be allowed to stay. Theresa May, if you come here illegally, you won't be allowed to stay. Boris Johnson, if you come here illegally, you won't be allowed to stay. And just over 2 years ago, of course, we had the speech at Lydd Airport down in Kent telling us about the Rwanda plan. We're 2 years on. We've spent at least £160 million so far, not sent a single human being. And what happens is, every time Rishi Sunak speaks on this subject, he raises the rhetoric. He raises the rhetoric, and he does so, of course, because public anger is so great, the sense of injustice and unfairness. Do I believe that in 10 to 12 weeks' time there'll be planes taking off with significant numbers of migrants on board? No, I don't. And I'll tell you why.
He gave specifics there, Nigel, didn't he? He said there's an airfield at the ready. He said they've got trained people to stop air crews stopping people.
We've done our prep, is what he said. I mean, how boring. We're working hard. I should jolly well hope they're working hard. They're the government.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you can be too sure of the government working hard. Now, listen, Nigel Farage, I like him a lot. I understand his hesitation in believing that this is going to happen, and maybe he's right, but I like to hope that he's wrong. Sunak acknowledged that the first removal flights wouldn't be for 10 to 12 weeks after the bill became law, but he said that they're ready. He's blaming the Labour Party opposition for holding up progress on the bill. Sunak had previously promised deportation flights by the spring of 2024, the first Rwanda flight carrying just 7 migrants having failed to take off in June of 22 over a legal challenge. Now his timetable looks like summer instead. Fingers crossed. This is the kind of stuff I want to see happening in Europe that will come to America. I do wonder about Rwanda. And it is kind of wild that the British government is essentially saying Rwanda is safer than London. The British government got in a not-so-subtle dig at the lefty London mayor Sadiq Khan and his policing policies by stating that the Rwandan capital is now arguably safer than London. This is from Breitbart. It's a wild timeline that we're living in. The governing conservatives are pushing to pass its Rwanda deportation scheme enabling law, which anti-border activists have decried as morally wrong because Rwanda is a safe place for migrant resettlement. In comments before Monday's night's votes to make the bill law, Foreign Office Minister Andrew Mitchell hit back at the claims, stating some of the attacks on African state Rwanda as being unsafe and badly governed were tantamount to racism. It is wild that they're saying Rwanda is safer than London. Wild. There's another country in Europe that should look into doing something like this, and it's Germany. Germany has had tons of asylum seekers coming in. They've welcomed refugees. You've seen the signs. Love has no borders, all the things, build bridges. Germany, though, there's a new poll that says nearly half of the young Muslims that live there want Islamic theocracy. And a third understand violent retribution for insulting Muhammad. This is a study on juvenile delinquency in the German province of Lower Saxony. They found that this radical ideology is widely prevalent among the Muslim youth population, with nearly half favoring an Islamic caliphate over democracy. A dark field study conducted by Criminological Research Institute of Lower Saxony raised concerns over the Islamist beliefs held by young Muslim students in the province. About 300 of them were surveyed. And according to the research, almost half of grade 9 Muslims with an average age of 15 said that they believe that Islamic theocracy is the best form of government. And more than 2/3 agreed with the idea that the rules of the Quran were more important than the laws of Germany. This is not sustainable when you have a young population growing up that says, listen, Islamic theocracy is far better than German law. The rules of the Quran are more important than the laws of Germany. There's going to be conflict. We've already seen conflict in Germany, in England, in Europe. We've seen that conflict here when it comes to these radical Islamists. And I would say to the leaders in Germany, maybe you need your own Rwanda plan. Carl Philip Schroeder of the KFN noted that while the survey is not necessarily representative of all young Muslims in Germany, he said that the data in the latest Lower Saxony survey gives cause for concern and shows how important political education is in schools. And the survey comes as rising instances of anti-Semitic attacks have increased, and terror threats in Europe following October 7th have forced the leftist coalition government of Chancellor Olaf Scholz into admitting the need for immigration reforms, which will reportedly include increased efforts to prevent illegal migration, as well as stepping up deportations and cutting welfare benefits to alleged asylum seekers. We need more of this. We do. The Western countries, it is so fine to welcome people in that want to be American, want to be part of Germany or part of England and the Western world, and they want to, basically assimilate to our cultural values. That's fine. We have many cases of that working. But when it's not working, we need to be honest and we need to have solutions. England is trying to have solutions with their Rwanda flights. Germany's staring down the barrel of a problem here when half of the youth population of Muslims prefer the rules of the Quran than the rules of Germany. Projections from the Pew Research Center have claimed that if mass migration policies continue, the Muslim population of Germany could rise to 20% by the year 2050, with the polling firm noting that Germany, with its historically strong economy, generous welfare benefits, and lax immigration enforcement, has long been the destination of choice in Europe for alleged asylum seekers from the Middle East. This is going to be a big story in years to come. They need to take a hard stance on this and say no. Send them to Rwanda. Germany also is in the news. They arrested 3 people accused of spying for China, which is a wild story. 3 people suspected of spying for China and arranging to transfer information technology with potential military uses were arrested in Germany on Monday. Prosecutors said the 3 German citizens are accused of having acted for Chinese intelligence since some point before June 22. They're also suspected of violating German export laws by exporting a special laser without permission. They're sending military secrets to the Chinese. One of the suspects, in line with Germany privacy laws, was identified as Thomas R. He was allegedly an agent for an employee of the China Ministry of State Security and procured information in Germany on military usable innovative technologies for that person. It's crazy. They're taking that serious. I wish that we would take the Chinese coming into our country serious. I wish that we would take the illegal aliens coming into our country serious, but we just keep seeing the headlines and letting the status quo continue.
3 years ago, 689 Chinese migrants crossed the southern border. Last year, that number soared to over 37,000. Part of an explosion of migrants coming here from all over the globe. Currently, most migrants are released into the U.S. to wait often years for asylum hearings. Critics say that encourages migrants to come, and President Biden should change course through executive action.
Yeah, he's probably not going to change course through executive action because this is the course he wants the country on. And they're going steps further and further every day. There's a new story out that the Biden administration is considering granting legal status to illegal immigrant spouses of Americans. The Biden administration has reportedly discussed the plan that would legalize hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants if they are married to a U.S. citizen. So the DHS, headed by Mayorkas, has reportedly been considering this plan. And the plan would give legal status to any immigrants that are married to a U.S. citizen and in the country illegally. White House officials, as well as some in the DHS, have been considering how to avoid deportation of those who have been living in the U.S. for a long time, per a report from the Wall Street Journal. The proposal is gaining steam in the Biden White House because they love new voters, and they have dollar signs in their eyes when they look at this. So it's gaining steam. Policymakers are looking over a range of possibilities to give work permits to those who are in the country illegally, per the outlet's reporting. And there are about 1.1 million illegal aliens that are married to U.S. citizens in the country. Non-citizens married to Americans can usually obtain a green card when they're wedded. However, many of those who enter the country illegally can be denied the immigration status because, they crossed the border illegally and are already guilty of a crime. According to the Wall Street Journal, though, this policy is most favored by the Biden administration at the moment, and it's known as parole in place. It is used on a small scale with veterans who are married to illegal immigrants on a case-by-case basis. The Biden administration has used something similar to admit refugees from Ukraine and Afghanistan in recent years. And they want to use this program because it would cut a lot of regulations in the way of illegal aliens married to U.S. citizens to obtain a green card and legal status in the U.S. With the current number of illegal immigrant spouses in the U.S., people familiar with the process say around 700,000 would qualify for the change in legal status. 700,000? 700,000. That wouldn't interfere with any elections or voting, though, right? Of course not. Of course not. It's 10:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand. I got to tell you about my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. I preach to you that it's time to get your annual maintenance, and I yell it from the mountaintops. It's time. Get your annual maintenance. You're going to be using your AC, and if you don't get the maintenance, you're waiting for a problem to pop up. I tell you that, and I was avoiding getting my annual maintenance. And because I avoided getting my annual maintenance, I had a problem pop up. So I did what anybody would do. I called Busy Bee. They got to my home in about an hour. My friend Joe Henry took a look at my AC system, and he said, hey, had you got your maintenance, I wouldn't have needed to come here because you got dirty coils. It's not a good look. So I'm going to clean them, and it's going to be working. It's been working like a charm ever since. If you need that annual maintenance, call who I trust, Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Maybe you've been kicking the can down the road on replacing your AC because it went out at the end of last season. Summer is fast approaching, and if you need to replace your AC system, you're not going to find a better value on replacement systems than Busy Bee. They offer up to 12 months with no payment, no interest, with approved credit, and it'll pay in so many ways to sign up to be a Beehive member. I'm a Beehive member, so when they came out to help me when I had that issue, I had 10% off my repairs. They got me front-of-the-line service. The Busy Bee membership also comes with the thorough annual maintenance on your plumbing, heating, and air systems. It comes with no overtime charges 24/7. Plus, Busy Bee will always come see you on Saturday. They have those convenient availability hours for you for maintenance calls, so you'll never be left waiting all weekend long. Busy Bee, your Rude Pro partner for satisfaction guaranteed. Call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833 or online at busybeehvac.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
All right, right now, 40 westbound is backed up from 24 to Briley Parkway. That's because of a crash on 24 West, right there before you get to 440. It's right there at Murfreesboro Pike. And the Trump hush money case prosecutor claims the gag order has been violated. We'll tell you about that and more at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You can find me on social media, Twitter, Truth Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. So I'm reading the members nutrition text line, and it's so funny. First of all, everybody really likes England's idea of sending asylum seekers to Rwanda.
No ifs, no buts. These flights are going to Rwanda. And most importantly, once the processing is complete, we will physically remove people.
So that's England's plan. If you came here illegally, straight to Rwanda. But the members nutrition text line has devolved into being worried about whether or not we can actually send migrants to Rwanda because of cannibals.
No ifs, no buts. These flights are going to Rwanda.
Cannibals are not. They're going. It's so funny, though. Of course, it's all cannibal talk because, Joe Biden and Uncle Bozy, R.I.P. Did you hear that the Papua New Guinea Prime Minister, his name is James Marape, he was very upset that Biden had the cannibals line?
Very understandable. Absolutely.
He accused Joe Biden of disparaging the South Pacific island nation by implying that his uncle had been eaten by cannibals. He said, I mean, what timeline are we in? You ever feel like we're in like that weird multiverse and we just flopped over to the clown timeline?
Oh, absolutely. All the time.
It feels like we're in the clown timeline. Not just that our president is saying his uncle was eaten by cannibals, but that other world leaders have to respond to the president's accusations. That is, well, people actually said it was a lie. But the Papua New Guinea Prime Minister had to respond. He had to respond to this. He had to. It's just insane. And they say that Biden's comments actually offended a key strategic ally because China's in the region and they're looking to increase their influence in the region. So when you accuse other countries of cannibalism, you send them right into the arms of the Chinese, I guess. But they never found old Uncle Bozy. I don't think anybody can prove it wasn't cannibals. I think that we need to be fair there. Nobody can prove that it wasn't. It's just highly unlikely. Also, we'll fact check. I don't think there are any cannibals in Rwanda. It's 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. 40 westbound still pretty backed up. It is backed up, in fact, from 24 all the way back to Briley Parkway. And now it's because of a crash, 24 westbound right there at Murfreesboro Pike. New York hush money case. The hearing over whether former President Trump violated the gag order by posting disparaging things about witnesses Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels has ended with the judge reserving decision. But the hearing turned tense, and at one point the judge telling Trump's defense attorney Todd Blanche, quote, "You're losing all credibility with the court." Down in Tampa, Florida today, President Biden will hold his first major campaign event on the issue of abortion 1 week before the state of Florida set to ban abortion after 6 weeks. And here in Tennessee, parents could be fined up to $1,000 if their kids commit crimes, but not on their first offense. It would be after a second offense under this bill passed by state lawmakers and now headed to Governor Lee's desk for his consideration. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. I'm just chuckling to myself because Aaron on Twitter, you can always send me stories on Twitter if you want me to talk about something, at Chris Hand on air. Aaron sent me on Twitter, after the gag order hearing, Trump was already on Truth Social posting. He posted 36 minutes ago. Every single legal scholar and expert said that the Soros-backed prosecutor, Alvin Bragg, has no case. That list includes Jonathan Turley, Greg Jarrett, Byron York, Andrew McCarthy, Mark Levin, Alan Dershowitz, Mike Davis, David Rivkin, Kristen Shapiro, Brad Smith, Andrew Cherkasky, and many more. So why don't they drop the case? Alvin Bragg never wanted to bring it. Thought it was a joke. Was furious at lawyer Mike Pomerantz. Will he be prosecuted for what he did? Then he posted another one. He said, highly conflicted, to put it mildly, Judge Juan Merchant has taken away my constitutional right to free speech. Everybody's allowed to talk and lie about me, but I'm not allowed to defend myself. This is a kangaroo court, and the judge should recuse himself. That is Donald Trump on Truth Social 34 minutes ago. So he gets in trouble for posting on Truth, and he says, I'm going to post on Truth about this. And we're also learning that the Manhattan DA has requested that the judge not jail Trump and instead fine him $10,000 for violations to the gag order. They're also requesting the judge force him to remove 8 posts from his social accounts and also his campaign website. What do you tell him no? You say no. What are they going to do? If Alvin Bragg is already deciding and requesting that the judge not jail Trump, then they must have seen some internal numbers. They must know how bad that would look, jailing your leading political opponent, the leading candidate of the opposing party months before the election. It's probably not going to be a good look if they do that. And I wonder if the Democrats are finally realizing they probably bit off more than they can chew. And that this isn't going to work out for them the way they think it's going to work out for them. Maybe. Donald Trump has also been defending the American-loving protesters that have been gathering outside of the courtroom. It was interesting. When we talked to Savannah Hernandez last week, she was on the ground covering the protests in front of the Trump trial and covering, illegal immigration in New York. She said there's no anti-Trump protesters out here. And she says it's because, the protest squad on the left has been pointed towards Israel-Palestine. That's where they're protesting. And so the protests outside of the courtroom have been largely, overwhelmingly pro-Trump. And yesterday, Trump remarked on the treatment of left-wing protesters and rioters compared to the treatment of right-wing protesters, MAGA protesters, and saying that the latter, the right wing, the MAGA faction, should be allowed to protest at the front steps of the courthouse and all over the country, just as it's allowed for those destroying our country on the radical left. And then he posed a question on protesters Monday morning, saying, why are Palestinian protesters and even rioters allowed to roam cities, scream, shout, sit, block traffic, enter buildings, not get permits, and basically do whatever they want, including threatening our Supreme Court justices right in front of their homes, and yet people who truly love our country and want to make America great again are not allowed to peacefully protest and are rudely and systematically shut down and ushered off to faraway holding areas, essentially denying them their constitutional rights. He went on to say American-loving protesters should be allowed to protest at the front steps of the courthouse all over the country, just like it's allowed for those who are destroying our country on the radical left. It's a two-tiered justice system, the former president said, concluding that free speech and assembly has been chilled for USA supporters. It has been chilled for pro-America supporters. And I think a lot of it has to do with people don't want to catch a dumb charge. People understand. When you see what happened on Jan 6, you understand the weaponization of the justice system. And how if you go protest, you're going to be identified. They're going to put you on some sort of list somewhere, and that could result in issues down the road. I wish it wasn't that way, but it is. Trump also linked a story from the Washington Examiner, which detailed how Supreme Court Justices Neil Gorsuch and Samuel Alito exposed the Biden administration's inexcusable practice of selective prosecution of protesters and rioters during recent oral arguments. He said, Would a sit-in that disrupts we played that clip, Gorsuch saying, would a sit-in that disrupts a trial or access to a federal courthouse qualify as illegal obstruction? It's like the two tiers. It couldn't be more blatant. It couldn't. And so Trump, again, he's calling out the witch hunt. He's ripping the case as election interference, coordinated with Washington. And that's how he characterizes all these cases. Biden trials. And Trump has receipts. 3 separate prosecutors met with the White House aides before indicting Trump. Breitbart News had that story in February. 3 separate prosecutors. Alvin Bragg met with them. Jack Smith met with them. Fani Willis met with them. The reported meetings suggest coordinated attacks against Joe Biden's 2024 opponent. And it's election interference. Trump is sitting in a courtroom. He can't campaign. These are all Biden trials, Trump said before he entered a courtroom. This is done as election interference, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. Also, breaking last night, we had the story where we saw a new unredacted motion, and it reveals collaboration between Biden's White House and the National Archives, NARA, to concoct classified docs case against Trump. The Monday filing includes sections of the original January document that had been released, but it was heavily redacted. So a version of this motion to compel discovery in the Mar-a-Lago documents case was released by Judge Eileen Cannon, with much of the information that had been originally redacted by Jack Smith, Hack Smith. It's now unredacted. In one section titled Early Indications of NARA Bias, which was heavily redacted in the original January 16th version, now states that NARA General Counsel Gary Stern sent an internal email attaching a draft letter to President Trump's representatives. Stern noted that he had several conversations with the White House Office of Records Management, and that had raised some of these concerns directly with David Ferrero, which is NARA's archivist. Stern's draft concluded that things were very chaotic, as they always are, in the course of a one-term transition, and he acknowledged that the transfer of the Trump electronic records is still ongoing and won't be complete for several months. The majority of the section, including an exhibit note explaining that a NARA employee explained to the FBI that it is not uncommon that PRA material collection extends past the close of any presidential administration, sometimes well after the close of any given presidential administration, were redacted in the original version. They didn't want people to realize that this is normal, standard operating procedure. Another section titled "The Biden Administration Weaponizes the PRA" states, in late September 2021, without disclosing that NARA had already drafted a referral letter and contacted the DOJ, Deputy White House Counsel Jonathan Su asked one of President Trump's PRA representatives to permit to access notes from the Trump administration related to records handling. Su then intervened when Stern offered to provide a copy of the notes to President Trump's PRA representative, saying, "Could we discuss the process before anything is provided to him?" The section after the name Jonathan Su was redacted. It goes on to say Stern agreed to coordinate on this issue with the Biden administration, but informed Su that the request was atypical. Normally, we would not have to provide records to him per the notification review process before we could provide anything to you. 2 days later, Stern assured Su that the PRA representative had not asked to see these records. This section was redacted in its entirety during the original release. And it continues. On October 5th, 21, Stern sent an email describing a strategy to time the National Archive public communications with Congress in order to prejudice President Trump. Stern's email attached a draft letter to the Hill social media records, which he proposed to run past White House counsel before notifying President Trump. These guys were informed every step of the way when it came to the classified documents. 3 days later, after there was an email where they proposed running it past White House counsel before notifying Trump, 3 days later, the Biden administration instructed NARA to reject Trump's assertion of executive privilege and disclose records to the Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol. This goes on and on. Another section titled "The White House Instructs NARA to Contact Prosecutors" featured a heavily redacted second portion of the segment. It began by stating that the special counsel's office falsely claimed that NARA independently referred this matter to the DOJ in February of 22. The section now adds, however, the evidence demonstrates that Sue, on behalf of the Biden administration, referred NARA to DOJ in January of 22. According to an FBI report, Stern and a redacted name, also of NARA, consulted with Sue in late January 21. During the consult, Sue referred to Stern and redacted to Department of Justice Associate Deputy Attorney General Emily Lode and Associate Deputy Attorney General David Newman. The now unredacted version states. On January 4th, 22, Loeb and Newman instructed the redacted person and Stern to refer the matter to their Office of the Inspector General and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. So Newman also provided DOJ contacts Jay Bratt, Chief of National Security Division, and Corey Amundson, Chief of Public Integrity Section. And redacted and Stern had additional conversations with Bratt and Amundson regarding the next steps. So the release of the far less redacted version of the motion comes after Judge Cannon releases it. And now we're realizing they are so in bed on all of these charges. They are marching lockstep. To look at these cases and think it's anything other than political persecution, you have to be absolutely brainwashed. They redact and leave out information, and when you finally see it, you go, "Oh, we were right all along. We were right every step of the way." Trump has been set up every step of the way. The White House met with every prosecutor every step of the way. From Alvin Bragg to Jack Smith to Fani Willis, they met with all of them. They were working with NARA in these unredacted documents to concoct the scheme of the classified documents case against Trump. They were working with them. The Biden administration worked with them every step of the way. It's infuriating that this doesn't get covered on the mainstream media. This is absolutely, as Trump puts it, election interference.
All right, thank you very much. I just want to say before we begin, these are all Biden trials. This is done as election interference. Everybody knows it. I'm here instead of being able to be in Pennsylvania and Georgia and lots of other places campaigning, and it's very unfair. Fortunately, the poll numbers are very good. They've been going up because people understand what's going on. This is a witch hunt, and it's a shame, and it comes out of Washington. It's in coordination with Washington, everything, including the DA's office. It's in coordination with Washington. I just want people to understand that this is done for purposes of hurting the opponent of the worst president in the history of our country.
And they'll say that Trump is touting conspiracy theories and that he's lying, but he gets proven true every step of the way. And the media won't cover it. Of course not. They're not going to cover this at all. I will say, it's election interference. Trump can't go out and campaign, but the one saving grace, the one absolute saving grace is even when Biden can go out and campaign, he can't really go out and campaign. The guy can't talk. They coordinate fake visits for him to Sheetz and to a Wawa, and he looks like a stiff. They try to make it seem organic. He can't do it. They try to have him give a speech. He can't do it. They give him a teleprompter. It needs to be bigger. They give him handwritten notes. He needs the font size a little bit bigger. The best thing that happened was that they kept Biden in the chair to run against Trump. That's our biggest victory, Because personally, I truly believe this. If they had gotten an actual candidate, if the Democrat Party had platformed RFK as an actual candidate and RFK was running as the Dem candidate, I think that we would have a very different election season than we have right now. It's 10:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
I'm going to give it away. We're going to do TikTok today. Oh, TikTok or talk? Okay, TALK. Spring is here. Today we're going to talk about ticks. Bugs are coming out. Unfortunately, ticks are coming out. People are going to be out in the woods. First, the types of ticks.
American dog tick, the black-legged deer tick, the Lone Star tick. We've got a Gulf Coast tick. Got a new one coming in, the longhorn tick. These are the ones we need to watch out for. 75% of vector-transmitted diseases now are from ticks. Rocky Mountain spotted fever, rickelosis, tularemia, Lyme disease, almost flu-like. Going to run a fever. You may or may not get a rash in the saliva. They secrete this cement to glue themselves in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great.
So you need to get some tweezers, get down on that capitulum and grab it and pull the tick off. Do not grab the body. A lot of people think ticks drop out of trees. They don't drop out of trees. And they can't jump. And they can't fly.
So they're in the leaves, on the plants and things.
On the grass,
on the
leaves of the grass. And they do this number with their front legs. And that's called questing. They are sensing a prey item coming by. They'll take those legs and latch on and then crawl up.
And then there you go. You're battling it.
Metro Police say they have 4 carjackers in custody, along with a lot of cash, pot, and guns. You got to hear how a helicopter helped in that. And Trump hush money case prosecutor claims a gag order violation. All this and more at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is 10:58 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I spent that last break following people back on Twitter. I try to keep my promises. So if you follow me, I'll follow you back. At Chris Hand on Air on Twitter, True Social, Instagram. Did you hear the audio of Alec Baldwin being confronted in a coffee shop? It's pretty good.
Over what, though? Is it his Trump impersonation or is it the other stuff?
So it's about how he killed that lady. Yeah. So it's funny because so this lady is anti-Israel, pro-Palestine. But if she had left that part out, I think that conservative media would have sunk their teeth into this a lot more. Because I don't think conservative media is too fond of Alec Baldwin. But as soon as she goes, say Palestine, Alec. It's like conservatives are like, all right, I'm out. There's like that SpongeBob meme. Like,
yeah.
All right, I'm out. I still think it's funny, though.
Alec, can you please say Free Palestine one time? Why did you kill that lady?
Why did you kill that lady?
Why did you kill that lady? You killed that lady and got no jail time? No jail time, Alec? No jail time, Alec. You're putting innocent people in jail, Alec Baldwin. I'm so sorry. Free Palestine, Alec, just one time, and I'll leave you alone. I'll leave you alone, I swear.
Did you hear the employee back there say, I am so sorry about this? And Baldwin just looks flustered, annoyed.
Just say Free Palestine one time. One time. One time.
Call the police.
One time, Alec. You know he's a criminal. You know he's a criminal. Come on, Alec. Just say Free Palestine one time. One time. Just one time. Please. And I'll leave you alone. Free Palestine. Israel. Zionism. Please say it. One time.
And then Alec gets angry and hits the phone out of her hand. Which I don't know if that's the best look as you're about to go on trial for, murder. Maybe just walk away next time, especially when you're being recorded, because you got a trial you have to worry about. Not a good look. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 2 minutes. And right now, Metro Police think a group of teenagers they arrested for carjacking over the weekend may be involved in several other robberies around town. Channel 4 says a police helicopter was conducting surveillance on a stolen vehicle and saw 3 people robbing 2 other people at gunpoint outside the Mosaic Apartments on Patricia Drive. Police say 2 18-year-olds and 2 15-year-olds had guns, pot, and about $1,600 cash in that vehicle. A follow-up search at a couple of homes turned up a stolen handgun, all kinds of ammunition, and pepper spray. New York's in a hush money case. The hearing over whether former President Trump violated the gag order by posting disparaging things about witnesses Michael Cohen, Stormy Daniels has ended with the judge reserving decision. Legal analyst Brian Buckmeyer says at one point the judge told Trump's defense attorney Todd Blanche, you're losing all credibility with the court.
The prosecution had a very long opportunity to lay out what they thought the violations were, and so did Mr. Blanche. But in his laying out of his arguments, the judge continually asked him, okay, show me the evidence. Show me why he's responding. Show me how this is going. And he could not give an answer or response.
Prosecutors said Trump posted 10 times and posed what they say is a very real threat to the integrity of the judicial proceedings. Down in Tampa, Florida today, Mary Bruce says President Biden's going to hold his first major campaign event on the issue of abortion.
The Biden campaign, hoping that the issue of abortion will help drive voters to the polls in November, is trying to seize this moment, blasting new restrictions on abortion access across the country and arguing that Donald Trump did this, trying to tie this issue directly to their rival, who has boasted of appointing 3 of the Supreme Court justices who overturned Roe.
Biden's stop in Florida 1 week before the state is set to ban abortion after 6 weeks. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
.1106 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on Air. The phone lines are open for you as well, 615-737-9986, or you can text in on the Members Nutrition text line to that same number, 615-737-9986. Kevin in Columbia, you want to talk immigration. You're next on Super Talk. What's up, Kev?
Well, hey, Chris. I listened to your show. I think I've listened to you since day one. I definitely have listened to Matt Murphy since day one. Y'all are a breath of fresh air.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
As a descendant from immigrants who signed in at Ellis Island, I'm Scots Irish American, and if you come here, I don't. You're either a human or you're not a human. So the whole illegal thing, in my opinion, both parties are kind of at fault. Neither party wants the other party to get a new voting bloc. So immigration is going to stay and remain broken for the foreseeable future. But in my opinion, I think that what UK is doing, if Rwanda wants to accept these illegal immigrants back in to their economy and have them sit there and wait, I see that being nothing different than what we've asked Mexico to do as far as hold these Hondurans and Ecuadorians there, let them process.
They remain in Mexico, yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think a couple of $1 billion worth of a wall is the answer when you could spend probably, half that on upgrading and streamlining the immigration system. Hey, we are the beacon of a free country, of what democracy stands for. I'm not surprised that people in impoverished nations want to come here. As long as you assimilate and you go with our culture, I think that if you were to stop 50 Americans born and raised here on the street and ask them who the 16th president was, a third of them would have a hard time answering that. If you're from a different country and you want to come here and you want to learn about our history, our heritage, you want to learn our language, you want to be a productive member of society, that is what America stands for.
No, I hear you. I hear you on a lot of that. I would argue, though, if you break into the country illegally, you are an illegal alien. That's just the definition. I think billions.
You've broken a law to get here, and if you break a law to get here, then you need to go to the back of the line from the people who are being here and doing it the right way. But I think there needs to be a little bit of incentive as far as doing it the right way, and I think that immigration has been something that has been broken.
I think there is incentive to do it the right way. You get your citizenship, and you get your card punched to be welcomed in the greatest country on God's green earth. I think that we need to de-incentivize doing it the wrong way, because what we've actually done is, there's a lot of incentivization to become an American citizen, a lot. But we haven't really deterred people from breaking in illegally. We give them free health care. We give them free hotel and shelter. We give them debit cards with free taxpayer money to buy food. We need to de-incentivize illegal immigration before we have the conversation about incentivizing doing it the right way.
Well, and I understand, and I don't pledge loyalty to any party. They both have gotten us $33 trillion in debt. It's
That's
not
fair.
one or the other.
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, neither one of the two parties that we have are going to allow the other party to pass anything through that benefits them. And I think that is a polarization of how our politics are broken. Do I want criminals from Mexico or Ecuador? No, absolutely not. Do I care about the dreamers who had no? Yes, because this is where it gets really murky and the water gets really dirty, is because a child who was brought here by their parent has no control over it. Should we not make a path to citizenship available for them? On the flip side to this, if you're carrying drugs over on your back and you get here and I don't think it's as simple as just going, hey, we're going to ship you off to Rwanda. Does it work? We don't know yet. We'll see how the UK model turns out.
See, I feel like that's the simplest way. Everybody out. Pool's closed.
Well, and I get that, but at the same time with that, America, we don't build walls. We tear them down. We've been the beacon of light for so many people.
Yeah, all those talking points don't mean anything to me, though. Like, it doesn't actually mean anything. How are we going to continue being a beacon of hope as we're letting the third world come in en masse and drain us of our resources?
How can we fix it? How can we fix it with an extremely partisan Congress and Senate? How can we fix it? I think we in line with our Christian values.
I think that we fix it. Just because I'm a Christian doesn't mean that everybody can come into my country and stay indefinitely for any reason.
Did Jesus not say, when a stranger's in your land, bring them into your home, break bread with them, because we were once a people without a homeland?
But he didn't. So, but he didn't say that they're going to live on your couch indefinitely under your resources.
Agreed. And that's where I'm torn as being a Christian and also an American. who has no party affiliation. The Constitution in America comes first.
I mean, but like for me as a Christian, like I need to defend my kids and raise them up right, and I worry about where this country's going for them and my grandkids. So like keeping them safe is first.
Well, and I agree to that. And God said, support my people. I mean, if you don't support Israel and their plight, then there's obviously a mixed message there. I understand. What if you were to line up 15 different ethnicities and ask them, what do you want for your children? They would all probably tell you a good education, an opportunity to be not necessarily successful, but at least prosperous in your pursuit for liberty and happiness. So I don't think that we're all that different.
But I'm not saying we're different. I'm just saying that all that other stuff is fluff and rainbows. Like it doesn't really hold any weight. Like what you want does not really matter. Do you know what I mean? Like you mentioned it yourself. We're $34 trillion in debt. How many immigrants are enough? What would be the line? How many citizens do you want to grant? How many illegal aliens do you want to grant citizenship to?
I don't want to grant citizenship to anyone who has broken a law to get here. It did us no good with Carter and the Cuban immigration process. It will do us no good moving forward. I want them to be able to come here legally and follow through, assimilate, and learn our heritage and our culture. Do I want? I
mean, like I don't even have a problem with that so much as long as like you can provide something. Like you have to provide something to the country. You can't just come because you want to come.
Agreed. I agree, Chris. We're not that far off. It's just at this point, demonizing one versus the other, I don't think is the solution to it. What we really need is for our politicians that we've elected to grow a spine and actually do something, present some options out there. We don't have to see eye to eye. That's what makes America the greatest country on the planet, is we don't have to see eye to eye, but we have to be able to sit in the same room, toss back and forth ideas, and somewhere in the middle there's a compromise. And when we're dealing with people like, the dreamers, the children that are protected because they took their first breath here.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't really like that at all. I don't really like dreamers at all. I don't like birthright citizenship. I don't agree with that. I don't.
How do you fix it?
You say bye, and you de-incentivize it happening again.
That's been one of our staples of our Constitution, that if you took your first breath on our soil, that you were an American citizen. Now,
I don't think that that's accurate.
Well, the fine print doesn't say that, hey, if your parents smuggled you across the border and then had a child, that's where the problem is. And that, like, I'm a Christian. I'm trying to do the right thing with this. Politics and Christianity are worlds apart.
See, I think you are so wrong on politics and Christianity being worlds apart. I don't know. I know you're in Columbia. I think that you should come to Culture and Christianity at World Outreach Church. I don't think that they're worlds apart. I think that as Christians, we've ceded the political realm to politicians and kind of taken ourselves out of it. I don't think that they're worlds apart. But
and once again, that's what makes America great, is that you and I can talk and we can discuss and have opposing views. But I put my pants on the same way you do, one leg at a time every morning.
Amen. And you know, the illegal aliens, I would be more than welcome to give them time to put on their pants before we send them back home. I appreciate your call, Kevin. There's a lot of people. Yeah, you too, man. There's a lot of people waiting to get on. Doc in Bowling Green, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Doc?
Hey, how you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
Well, I just one question. You know, the Democrats have their sheep herders.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually one sheep herder because they're all lockstep.
Yep.
So who's the ramrod for the RNC and the GOP? Is it the CPACs? Is it Turning Point USA? Is it Donald Trump? I mean, who is it?
I mean, I think that's a question that is definitely multifaceted because I think it would depend on what subject we're talking about.
Well, we're just talking about the RNC and the GOP as one, because the DNC, they never break ranks.
Yeah. I mean, I think
we're just a bunch of cat herders.
But
so who is hurting this? Who's hurting this big thing of cats, man?
But I guess it depends on which side you're on, though, and that this is what we've been dealing with in the conservative movement for a while now. Trump broke in and changed everything. You have establishment Republicans that are clawing on and hanging on with their last breath. And then you have a new movement of people that really want to change this into an America First party that are trying to forge ahead. There's definitely competing ideologies under the Republican Party, from neocons to America First.
Exactly. And the neocons, they would be uniparty people.
Yep.
I mean, so that's just it, man. It was just a thought. It's just an idea. I really don't even have anywhere to go with it. I mean, who is hurting this gaggle of cats?
Yeah, I mean,
we have to pull somebody out front.
I think it's Trump. I think we could all probably agree that like the main thought leader of the party is Trump.
Exactly. That's my point. So why can we not get behind this man? I mean, it's just for one election, right? It's just for 4 years.
Well, I mean, I think that you're going to see a lot of people get behind him as we get closer. You're going to see never Trumpers fall into rank. But until then, there's definitely going to be that infighting.
I'm not worried about the never Trumpers. I'm just worried about the GOP and the NRC. We can't even get our balls in the queue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's getting better. It's getting better. I mean, with Laura Trump taking over the RNC, it's definitely gotten better.
Well, I hope so.
I do too, Doc. I appreciate the call, man. Tom and Mary, you guys want to talk immigration? We'll get to your calls next. Hang out with us. It's 11:20 right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Britain is pledging more aid to Ukraine, and General Motors making midday money news headlines for its earnings report. These stories and more at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It's 11:24 on Super Talk. Tom in the Borough, you're next on WTN. What's up, Tom?
Morning. How you doing, Chris?
Good, man. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. I believe it was Kevin that you were speaking to earlier.
Yes, Kevin is kind of having a tough time on deporting the Dreamers.
It's a little warm. It's a little warm for snow. And Kevin didn't mention this, but I'm just going to go ahead and make the assumption that Kevin doesn't have a lock on his front door, because a lock on his front door is a border. So if we've got a problem with borders, then he has no lock on his front door. I'm also going to assume that Kevin doesn't go ahead and take the keys out of his ignition. And while we're on the subject, and he wanted to talk about money, I'm going to assume that Kevin leaves his cash on his front lawn. Because, hey, somebody might come by, and it would be the Christian thing to do to leave out money. Kevin only wants to talk about Christianity when it comes to tax dollars or my dollars, your dollars.
Yeah.
While we're on the subject of it, Kevin is the very first Christian who would look at me and say, hey, thank you for your service, but, we shouldn't go ahead and have war. I'd really, really like you to go ahead and invite Kevin to the next event, because I'd really like to have a personal conversation with him out back.
well, we're not going to do all that. But I did, and I'll invite you too. There's a Culture and Christianity conference. I think that a lot of people don't know what to do with your Christianity when it comes to the current culture in America. I think like a lot of people kind of try to weaponize it against Christians. So how do you use that? At World Outreach Church in Murfreesboro this weekend, there's going to be the Culture and Christianity Conference. It starts on Friday and Saturday. And I appreciate your call, Tom. And it's going to be great. There's going to be tons of prominent Christians, from Seth Gruber to Kirk Cameron to Kayleigh McEnany to Brandon Tatum. And they're all going to be talking about, how we bring our faith back into the public square. And have those conversations where how do we square up our faith with immigration, with deporting illegal aliens? How do we square that up? Because I know a lot of people have issues in that arena, right? Like, I don't think that Kevin's the only one who struggles with having to make tough decisions like, do we deport the Dreamers, the kids of illegal aliens, or is it the Christian thing to do to let them stay? Like, these are conversations that need to be had. They're going to have them this weekend at World Outreach Church with, again, Kayleigh McEnany, Kirk Cameron, Brandon Tatum, Seth Gruber, Pastor Alan Jackson, who's been on the show as well. It's going to be awesome. If you want to win tickets to that, you can go to leadwithfaith.church/WWTN. That's leadwithfaith.church/WWTN. And you can sign up to win tickets there. And I'm also going to have a pair of tickets to give away tomorrow on the show. And I'm trying to get Seth Gruber on this week. Seth Gruber is awesome. So we're working to get him on the show this week and have a conversation with him before the Culture and Christianity Conference. But I think everybody should go to this, especially Christians, trying to figure out how do you square up your faith in this current political climate. Mary in Nashville, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Mary?
Hi, Chris. Love your show. You have very educated listeners. It's a great platform.
We have the best listeners.
Absolutely. Just want to say one thing, first of all, is we do have a leader, and it's President Trump. I think as closer that we get to the elections, you're going to see it definitely tighten up. You're going to see all of his children out. You're going to see people in droves, thousands and thousands, coming together with the movement and getting Trump in office. Mm-hmm. He is the one that can change this. And as far as immigration, I agree. There's one way, and it's called build the wall, send them all home, keep them out, and if you want to come back, you come back the right way. And if you can't come back the right way, then I'm sorry, stay where you're at and, deal with it. But we cannot be wishy-washy about it anymore, or we are going to be overrun completely. So Trump is our man, and like I say, he is an amazing leader, and the closer we get, the gap is going to close, And I feel his children and people all around, like you say, Laura, Trump, everyone's going to rally around him, and we're going to get to the White House, and we're going to turn this country around, and it is going to be an amazing 4 years. And forward from there, more than 4 years. Hopefully he can set the platform, for going ahead, and planning for the future past the 4 years. But he is the man, and he is the leader. You're right, Chris. He can turn all this around. He's done it before, and he knows how to do it, and God bless.
Lord, well, is it Marie or Mary? Oh, was it Marie or Mary?
It was Marie.
Marie. Thanks, Marie. Appreciate you. I mean, I think that we have to do, especially with the illegal aliens in the country, we have to be cold-hearted and take the emotion out of this, because the more emotion that you put into it, the more feelings get in the way. Like, we can't do that. We have to be cold. We have to be calculated. We have to say, listen, you broke the law, and that's not going to stand. And the more we do that, the less we're going to have to do that. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$11:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. The judge overseeing former President Trump's New York hush money case has heard arguments over whether Trump should be held in contempt for alleged violations of his gag order. The U.S. Senate will vote today on that House-passed $95 billion aid bill to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. Meanwhile, Great Britain pledging new aid to Ukraine.
Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has pledged that Britain will support Kyiv for the next decade and, in the short term, yet more weapons and weapon systems.
This will include more than 400 vehicles, 4 million rounds of ammunition, 60 boats and offshore raiding craft, vital air defenses, and long-range, precision-guided Storm Shadow missiles.
While welcoming the new U.S. aid package, Sunak says Europe must also invest more.
Tom Rivers reporting. Midday Money News, Jim Ryan.
General Motors has beaten the market's top and bottom line expectations for the first quarter, and it's raised its guidance to investors for the rest of 2024. Shares in the automaker jumped 5% on that news. Earnings reports like that one have boosted sentiment on Wall Street. The Dow Jones this morning was 200 points above its opening. The S&P had gained 1% on the day. The Nasdaq Composite was up nearly 1.5%.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at Paul Winkler Inc. You hear me talking about Paul all the time. You probably know Paul. He's been hosting his show, the Investor Coaching Show, for over 20 years. We run it every Saturday from 3 to 6 here on WTN. But you may not know how great of a guy Paul is. He's awesome. I'll randomly be looking over and talking to my wife and be like, who are you texting? She's like, I'm texting Paul. Why? I had a question. You're texting him this late? She's like, he always answers. That's Paul Winkler for you. And he got this knowledge by spending time studying under an economist who went on to win a Nobel Prize. He's an avid collector of financial planning designations. He has up to 8 now, and he will answer any question you have. Maybe not as late as for my wife. I wouldn't recommend texting him after 8 o'clock. But my wife does all the time. She always has questions. He always has answers. His firm always has answers. And when I got my show here, I knew I wanted to work with Paul and his team. And it's because they hold themselves to the highest level of fiduciary status. Paul makes sure that I tell you, full transparency, I'm paid to do these commercials. I like that. I like the transparency, but Paul doesn't pay me to be a client. I chose to be a client because of how much my wife and I are learning. And our financial freedom in the future is so important. Are we going to pay for college for the kids if they want it? Hopefully we got some weddings down the road to pay for. We want to retire at some point. We have all these questions, all these goals, and Paul is helping us set up the roadmap to that. He can do it for you too. And when his team gives you advice, you can be sure that they're giving you advice for you because they don't do anything on commission. That's huge. Their advice to you will not affect their paychecks. And they'll educate you along the way. So that way, when it's time to make a choice, you're not going to have that uneasy feeling of blind trust. Talk to Paul's team. They'll take the look at your whole financial picture because that's going to be unique to you. And then they'll help you make decisions. Set up a 15-minute phone call today. You will not be disappointed. Just go to paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com.
Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
I'm going to give it away. We're going to do TikTok today. Oh, TikTok or talk? Okay, TALK. Spring is here. Today we're going to talk about ticks. Bugs are coming out. Unfortunately, ticks are coming out. People are going to be out in the woods. First, the types of ticks.
American dog tick, the black-legged deer tick, the Lone Star tick. We've got a Gulf Coast tick. Got a new one coming in, the longhorn tick. These are the ones we need to watch out for. 75% of vector-transmitted diseases now are from ticks. Rocky Mountain spotted fever, rickelosis, tularemia, Lyme disease, almost flu-like, gonna run a fever. You may or may not get a rash in the saliva. They secrete the cement to glue themselves in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great.
So you need to get some tweezers, get down on that capitulum and grab it and pull the tick off. Do not grab the body. A lot of people think ticks drop out of trees. They don't drop out of trees. And they can't jump. And they can't fly.
So they're in the leaves, on the plants and things.
On the grass,
on the
leaves of the grass. And they do this number with their front legs. And that's called questing. They are sensing a prey item coming by. They'll take those legs and latch on and then crawl up.
And then there you go. You're battling it.
It's 11:38 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Mason is producing. Ken Weaver in the newsroom. You guys on the Members Nutrition text line and the phone lines at 615-737-9986. Find me on social media at Chris Hand on air across all the platforms. I got a great text from 5976. We were talking about, deporting illegal aliens. What about the dreamers? What about the dreamers? 5976 sent this in. He said, this whole dreamer BS. What about our kids? Aren't they themselves dreamers? the children of our country born and raised by existing citizens? To heck with the wordplay and lawlessness. I said, amen to that. Great take. What about our kids? Well, nobody seems to be worried. Nobody seems to be worried about the money we're borrowing off their backs. Nobody seems to be worried about the deteriorating public education system, the deteriorating cities, just the deterioration in general. But let's grant citizenship to the dreamers. Ronnie in the borough wants to talk immigration. Ronnie, you're next on Super Talk. Hey, Ronnie, thanks for holding.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what exactly is broken about the immigration system they keep hollering about other than down at the border. I married a European girl, but before I could bring her parents over here, I had to find them a job, I had to find them a place to live, and sign a statement that they wouldn't be a burden to the economy. Now, that was a working immigration system.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got away from that. But it's, and as far as these dreamers, okay, fine. Let them have citizenship. When they get 18 years old, they can apply for it. 5 years from that date, they're eligible for citizenship if they pass all the tests and hadn't had an arrest or anything like that. That's what my mother-in-law and father-in-law had to do. 5 years from the time they came over here, they applied for their citizenship and got it. That's a working immigration program.
Hey, thanks for the call, Ronnie. I appreciate it. A lot of people don't understand when we're importing all these people en masse, the brain drain on the original origin country. It's like if you're smart enough to flee, you could be smart enough to help rebuild that country that you're fleeing from. People don't want to have that conversation about the brain drain either. Sharon in the borough. We've had a lot of people calling from the borough today. What's up, Sharon? You're on Super Talk.
Hey, Chris. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Okay, so, yes, I want to chime in about this. I've said this for a long time, and I love that comment you made about how we need to put our emotions aside about this immigration and illegal stuff and just, deal with it practically. And, that's the best thing. So, these people who, and this is a lot of people on the left and a lot of Christians get too emotionally wrapped up in it. They think with their emotions about it too much. But, heaven has a gate. And God doesn't just let anybody in heaven through the gate. There's certain criteria we have to meet to be able to get there, to be accepted in there, right?
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
So why not the same in this country? Do Christians think of it like that? I mean, it's in the Bible that, there's a gate, there's boundaries. As a matter of fact, it helped me to see things a lot different when I read a boundaries book. I don't know if you're familiar with the book, The Boundaries, by the Dr. Cloud and Dr. Townsend. That's an excellent read.
I'll check that out for sure. I have not read that book.
Oh, it changed my life. I loved it.
How did it change your life?
It helped me. It freed me up to realize there are things that I took responsibility for or felt heavy about that were not my responsibility. And then there were things that were my responsibility that I needed to look at and deal with better. It was just a wonderful growing up book. I'm just telling you, it was the best thing it was my second Bible for years.
Really? What was the name of it one more time, Sharon?
Boundaries.
Okay, cool. I'll check it out. I appreciate your call, Sharon. Thanks so much.
Okay, bye.
Gail in Bradyville wants to talk dreamers. Gail, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Gail?
Oh, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, I've got something to say about these dreamers.
You tell me, Gail. I can't wait. I'm excited.
They come into this country because they're fleeing their country because it's so bad, which we all understand that.
Yeah.
Well, all these people that have come into the country, and I'm talking about years ago that have been here 30 years, the professionals. Okay, a green card should automatically go into whatever, I would say after 5 years, 7 years max, and then you have to apply for citizenship or you go back. So for all these dreamers that have taken advantage of all these government programs, the free money that we are not privy to,
Yep.
Become a citizen. Why are you voting? Or get the hell out of our country.
Yeah, well, it's like our last caller said, when he brought over his wife's parents, he had to sign a statement saying that he wouldn't let them be a burden on the system. And I'm sorry, you look at what's going on. How can we look at the crisis happening with immigration and illegal immigration and not say that this isn't a burden on our system?
Well, that's what the Bidens want.
Fair.
They're trying to destroy our country. There's
Fair.
no doubt about it. And anybody who says anything opposite are blinded, or I guess you're a Democrat.
I hear you, Gail. And I mean, in that case, both would be true.
Exactly.
Hey,
Thank you so much.
appreciate your call, Gail. Thanks so much. Gail was fired up. Kevin in Nashville, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Kev?
Hey, Chris. I got two things. First of all, as far as the immigration system goes, getting them across, getting into the country, the system isn't broken. They won't enforce the current laws on the books, and that's one of the kind of bits of smoke and mirrors that government tries to pull. This, the system, this immigration is a problem. It's not the problem. The system isn't broken. They won't enforce even the current law.
Yep.
So Biden's up there talking about, I need to pass this legislation. No, enforce the current law. But here's the other thing that I saw a interview with a Border Patrol agent on Rumble, was on the program Redacted. This will shock you. Biden's got a do not deport order on many of them that come across, and they're from the most Marxist countries down there, and they got do not deport orders on them. So once you catch them, they can't send them back.
Isn't that
That's
nice?
one thing. And the other thing is, once they get in here, they can sponsor family members to start coming in. Oh, I'm here, but I got to bring my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles. They can start sponsoring these people to come in. And there's an organization, not trying to disparage anybody, but Catholic Charities. Obama had given them something like $3 billion during his term. Well, Biden doubled down on that and gave him another $3.5 billion.
You don't have to. I don't think you're disparaging anybody. These NGOs need to be stopped. It's become big business to facilitate illegal entry into this country. People are getting rich off of it.
And here's the other thing, though. Biden has imported about 6,000 Palestinians, and now they can start bringing their family over, too. And that's not good. And it's not trying to disparage anybody that is a Palestinian, but come on, the history's not good. The other thing is, once they get here, the ones that are of age, they can start getting Social Security, and they get the maximum amount.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Yeah.
This
whole thing is going to bankrupt the entire country, because you can't import whole populations from countries of poor people that are welfare ready and expect your system to survive. It's not going to, and they know it's not going to, because it's intended that way.
I'm with you, Kevin, and I appreciate the call, man. It is absolutely the intent, and it keeps going. Did you know that in the aid package for Israel, there is $3.5 billion that is going to be sent to the Department of State, which will fund programs that bring more migrants into the United States? For an additional amount for migration and refugee assistance, $3.495 billion to remain available until expended to address humanitarian needs of vulnerable populations and communities. They take our tax dollars every step of the way for things that we don't want to fund, and then they use it and sneak into the bill other things we don't want to fund. Isn't that amazing? And they do it off the backs of your children and your grandchildren, who will be paying the bill for this, one way or another. It's 11:48 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
I'm going to give it away. We're going to do TikTok today. Oh, TikTok or talk? Okay, TALK. Spring is here. Today we're going to talk about ticks. Bugs are coming out. Unfortunately, ticks are coming out. People are going to be out in the woods. First, the types of ticks.
American dog tick, the black-legged deer tick, the Lone Star tick. We've got a Gulf Coast tick. Got a new one coming in, the longhorn tick. These are the ones we need to watch out for. 75% of vector transmitted diseases now are from ticks. Rocky Mountain spotted fever, rickolosis, tularemia, Lyme disease, almost flu-like. You're going to run a fever. You may or may not get a rash in the saliva. They secrete the cement to glue themselves in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great.
So you need to get some tweezers, get down on that capitulum and grab it and pull the tick off. Do not grab the body. A lot of people think ticks drop out of trees. They don't drop out of trees. And they can't jump. And they can't fly.
So they're in the leaves, on the plants and things.
On the grass,
on the
leaves of the grass. And they do this number with their front legs. And that's called questing. They are sensing a prey item coming by. They'll take those legs and latch on and then crawl up.
And then there you go. You're battling it.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
Yeah, we don't tease the ABC News.
I thought I'd give them a chance. Like, let them see if they'll come on.
No.
Maybe.
That's Mason filling in for Mac Maury on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know what I was going to say? I'm sorry, Matt Murphy's here as well.
Hi.
I wanted to give the audience an opportunity to, kind of like let you endear yourselves to them. And I caught Mason doing something during the break that I think a lot of the audience will respect.
Nose picking?
No.
Even worse.
Even worse.
Even worse.
You want to say it or you want me to?
What'd you do?
He was gleefully singing the Cars for Kids theme song.
It's just,
I like it.
I do too.
See, I was like, I don't mind it.
I do too.
I like it.
All of my kids sing it.
And everybody hates it so much. And I just embrace it. I just wallow around in it. If it comes on the radio, I crank the radio up. And, Cars for Kids.
It's pretty good.
It's great.
Okay, now I don't feel as alone. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Calling me out like that.
No, there are people, since we've had the Members Nutrition Super Text line, of all of the nasty, horrible, horrific things that have been written there, I can't think of more horrible or horrific things that have been written than that which has been written about the Cars for Kids commercials. I mean, people.
Do you know that they're also accepting boat and land donations?
Apparently, they'll take anything you're willing to give them.
Anything.
If you have just some extra crap in your garage, whatever. If you've got some sod left over from an outdoor project, come on.
A push mower.
Take it. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Motorized or otherwise. Cars for Kids will take that off your hands. Just give them a call.
Keith on the Members Nutrition text line said, Cars for Kids song sounds better than anything Taylor Swift has put out.
So I'm going to talk about this today, and I can't believe it didn't come up yesterday. I had a thing in Columbia Sunday evening, and the wife rode with me. And on the way back, she said, can we turn it to Channel 13 on Sirius XM? And sadly, without inquiring further, I said, sure, do what you need to do. And it was the Taylor Swift channel.
Oh.
And we got a chance to listen to what I described as the same song over and over again.
You like that one? Here it is again.
I mean, it's
essentially,
like, it's like, I guess this is, I mean, I'm not trying to be a hater, but I'm like, and because Erica likes it, I guess this is technically accurate, the Tortured Poets Department, because it apparently involved Taylor Swift pulling out a book of poetry and just reading it to a guitar and then reading some more of it to a violin and then reading some more of it to a piano.
All right.
Did the instruments give any feedback, or was it just one-sided?
Did you hear the racist song?
Oh, the one where she said that she wished that it was 1830 again?
Without all the racists.
Well, without all the racist. So you're just going to be like by yourself. Apparently.
It would just be Taylor Swift.
It would be Taylor
alone.
Swift and nobody. So there was a lot of racism back in the 1830s.
We'll fact check that.
I don't get it. I don't pretend to want to necessarily get it, but I do not. It really does. And just say that I'm old and whatever. It sounded like the same song over and over again.
I have not listened to any of it.
Oh my goodness.
I refuse to.
Didn't it sound like the same song over and over again?
Yeah, it's a lot of similarities. There are a couple people like popping in here and there that are like featuring on the songs, but like Post Malone has a new song or is on one of her new songs, and I thought he would at least get his own verse.
No,
he's singing in the background.
No, Erica.
He's in the background.
No, this was part of it. She says, "Oh, this is the one where Post Malone is on."
Yeah,
and I'm thought, well, this will be a good one, right? Because you're probably going to feature this as a single or whatever. And it was not. It was just the same old crap. And there's somebody in the background. I was like, where's Post Malone? Oh, he's singing backup.
You ever seen the viral video of Post Malone going, what happens when the credit cards go down, when the banks fail? He's like, you're going to have 3 days to get out of Dodge.
What is that? Like, it was Post Malone in Fight Club?
Post Malone is red-pilled.
I mean, well, okay. I mean,
I don't like any of his.
Actually, Post Malone could have been in Fight Club, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Could have been one of the guys in the basement.
He could have said, I'm Robert Paulson.
How hard is it for Taylor Swifties, they call them, I don't know if you know this or not, but they're called Swifties.
Swifties.
Yeah, I looked that up. Swifties, right? Swifties? Am I saying that right?
You have to look that up.
Swifties.
Swifties.
Am I saying it right? Swifties.
I think so.
Swifties. Yeah, you can fact check me on it. They like to do that on the Chris Hand Show. So, how hard is it for you to admit to yourself that this doesn't feel like it feels like she gave about 40%?
Yeah,
it feels like just put out a bunch of garbage, and they'll still buy it.
Yep, they will, and they'll get the special clear vinyl edition at Target. Woo! that's what the people are doing.
There's a little Southern accent there.
Yeah, you like it?
I like that.
I like it. All right, Matt Murphy's in next. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.